Can you guys read what is written here? I know a lot of Americans can't read. I mean, the illiteracy rates in the United States are astonishing. And you don't really hear a lot of complaints about it from the press. The Democrats don't raise it as a talking point. They're talking about abolishing student debt. But can students even read at the rate that this is going? And if you can't, I will read it for you. This individual is the education secretary. So he's one of the people responsible for shaping the bright minds of the US. It's not just some rando from TikTok. It's not the bad take of some random American citizen. No, 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 no. It's the education secretary. And I want you to remember, whenever Donald Trump reached for a glass of water and his hand was shaking a little bit, or whenever he placed some ketchup on a steak, the media would go wild. Breaking news everywhere. Even I from Romania would hear about it. 2 scoops of ice cream. But for some reason, I bet you haven't heard about this up until you came to my channel. So let's listen to what Mr. Miguel Cardona has to say.
You know, we're going to set up follow-up calls with every governor we met with to make sure we're available. As I think it was President Reagan said, we're from the government. We're here to help. There are resources there, there's technical assistance there, and there's a playbook that could support the work you're doing. Count on us as a partner in this. Our students are waiting.
I also love the face that he made before he gave the quote. For those of you who don't know, the actual quote is, "The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I am from the government and I am here to help." Ronald Reagan was a president who was against big government. He was in favor of small taxation, no regulation. This is why the Young Turks up until this day don't like him very much. And more on most left-leaning forums that you go, they mock conservatives who look at Ronald Reagan in a positive light. The first time he was elected into office, the first 4 years were great. The other 4, not so much. His age was showing. But suffice to say, Ronald Reagan did not mean this quote to be taken as the government is there to help in a good sense, right? So when you have a Romanian from halfway across the world with a much deeper understanding of American politics, American history, than the actual education secretary, what does that tell you? I mean, it's not even that of an esoteric quote. It's not even something that I had to do research. Like this is such a famous quote. It's difficult to browse the internet without coming across it. Does he even know who Ronald Reagan was? So there are just 2 possibilities here. Number 1, he does know who Ronald Reagan is, and he's just trying to subvert his legacy. He's trying to make it sound that Ronald Reagan was in favor of the government. Or he is clueless. I genuinely do not know which, but both of these are concerning and alarming. The reason that Ronald Reagan was saying that the government is there to help is terrifying is that the government has a different agenda than what most people think the government wants. Most people think that the government is like an extended family, that it has your best interest in mind. But the reality is that the government is made up of strangers, people who you don't know, and people who don't even care about knowing you, and they have their own personal agendas. It's called corruption. It's called when the people who occupy a position care more about themselves and their families than they care about what that position actually entails. In other words, it's greed. You have leftists that complain capitalism is greed, but for some reason they do not believe that when a person is elected as a representative, they're greedy as well, because greed is human nature. So the people in the government, they care more about their families, which means that they want to create more positions so that their families can fit them in. It's why you have dynasties in the modern age. It's why you have like the Clinton family having so much positions in political power, the Bush family, and so on and so forth. Like this happens from the top all the way down the managerial sector. Like they constantly advocate for more positions to be made for their family, to get more money from the people through taxes. So their interest is not to help the people, their interest is to help themselves. And this is true for most politicians. There are very few exceptions where you have a person that would reject financial interest or the betterment of his and his family for actually the common good. So this is why when the government is helping, it's not really helping the citizens, but whenever the government is helping, they're thinking like, how can we help ourselves more? And this is what Reagan was talking about. So when you are the education secretary, and you're actually using the quote that is most famous in American history against the government, and you're using it, well, actually, we have resources. Like, yeah, sure, you do have resources, but how effective do you want those resources to be? I mean, think about it this way, okay? Like perfect example with the education system in the US. Like, during the pandemic, one of the most stringent advocates against opening the schools were the teachers. Why was it? Why did the teachers not want the schools to open? Was it because they care about the students? Was it because they were worried about getting sick? Well, no, because apparently one of the members of the teachers union, who was advocating for keeping the school closed, was seen going on holiday exactly when she was very afraid of getting sick. The reality is that staying at home and getting paid was what they wanted, right? Like, everyone wants to stay at home and get paid. So of course they wanted the schools to remain closed for as much as possible. And you had like teachers mocking and ridiculing parents that wanted the schools to open. It's because they didn't care about the health of the students, or they were worried about the pandemic. They were using it as a justification in order to keep staying at home. So my solution to the problem would have been to cut their pay. Like, okay, well, if you're not going to come to work and you want to stay at home and stay safe, that's great. But if you're staying at home, then you don't get paid. Immediately, I guarantee you, the next day they would have advocated for the schools to open. But this is what the government does. You know, if you're going to pay people, if you're going to incentivize people to do something, they care about making more money. They do not care about actually helping others. I mean, think about it this way. If you have a private police force, their interest is not to stop crime. Because if you stop crime, then they don't get paid. Like, you don't need a private police force if there is no crime. What you want to do is to advocate that the crime is so bad that you need more resources, you need more money to combat it. And when the resources come in, well, you actually need even more. So their job is to constantly justify why they need more taxpayer money rather than to actually solve the crime. Does that make any sense? It's a little bit difficult for left-leaning people to understand these difficult concepts. Yes, I know people in the government, they care about themselves, their family, and most importantly, their well-being. And only after, maybe, they may consider that some money should actually go to the people that are the taxpayers. Yeah, this is very concerning. Like, what can I say? The education secretary not knowing American history. Either that or he is subverting it. Which one do you think it is? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you guys there. Take care.